started now. So we can have inline CSS here, just for placeholder, by the way. We will remove this. We just want to see the size of that our header can take. So the background color can be, let's say, something like gray. Then we can have a height of something like 20%. Now there are three ways of measuring height in a website. Number one is using the centimeter. The centimeter does whatever you know, measured in centimeters. Then number two is the percentage. Percentage actually assumes that the body of our website is 100%. The body of our website is 100%, and therefore the header should take 20% of that body. In short, the parent is 20%, 100%, and now the child takes 20% of it. Then there is also pixels. Pixels is also another unit of measurement, and is the most commonly used because it measures websites using the smallest distance possible. But you're going to see them, don't worry about that. So let's try and see how this has come out in the website. Ni kama sija link. Okay. Mbona ifanyi na inafaa kuwa inafanya? Let me use pixels. Yeah, pixels, that has been picked. So maybe 200 pixels. Yeah, so this is how we're going to measure the header. So just remember the idea you have for a resume. That idea you have for your resume online or physically. That's what we want to implement as a website. So we just need to implement your name, your title, your contact details. Then inside ingine itakuwa navigational bars. Once you do this, as you can see, the header is not always fixed to the line. It is giving some allowances. So we can learn about that. So when we have a diagram like this, any distance around that diagram is called a margin. So all these distances are called margin. So this one is called a margin right because it is to the right. This is called margin left because it is to the left. This is called margin bottom. And this is called margin top. Then that is distance outside the border, and this is what we call the border. Basically the edges. So any distance outside the border is what we call margin. So if we come back to our header, it is evident that some margins have been left on top, a very little distance. Margin has been left on top, EV, IV. So we always control that margin by supplying a margin. Then in a website, when we start measuring a margin, we always start from true north, going clockwise direction. So we can say, yes, we can say margin top like this. I can come here and say in the styles, header, this one should be web header. Acha nitoe hizi kwanza. So margin top, something like 0 to try and force it so that it fixes to the width. But when you come here, that is not going to be controlled at all. So if you have done with 0 and 0 is doing nothing, remember what I'm trying to do is to remove this distance between the tab and my header, so that the website should look like the normal websites which you see online. So what you do, it's evident if you log into a website you've never seen something like this. So what we do, we always use negative to fix it by force, to force it. So we force the issues by saying negative 20 pixels, and that one should be able to move the website up vile tunataka. So your distance imefungwa by force. The same thing can be done to margin left. Margin left, again negative 20 pixels. And then margin right also, negative 20 pixels again. But thanks God, CSS has a way for us to do this without writing all the margins, style, right, whatever. So what we always do, we just write margin, and CSS is going to take care of this such that you can write for margin top, margin bottom, starting from true north. So the first one will be margin top, so we will just write negative 20 pixels, not comma space. That one will be taken as margin top. Then margin right, negative 20 pixels again. Then margin bottom, negative, you can, if you don't want it to be controlled, 0. Then margin left, negative 20 pixels. Kindly note, there must be 4 starting from true north. So if you don't want to do for any part, you put 0. And there is no comma. You put 0, otherwise you are going to run into ambiguous figure, and this one will be controlled very well like this. Are we together?
Yes, I understand.
Okay, you are making my work easier. Then the next one,
Yeah.
we now want to implement the inner divs. These inner divs are called children. Remember now, the header was the parent, and it gave birth to 2 children, basic info and site nav children. So we can implement that. Just a minute. Okay, thank you. So now these children, it should also be a way to arrange them. The idea here is to arrange them in such a way that I'll have, if this is my header, I'll have my name and all other items here. So this is the basic info section division. So name, my title here, and my contact details here, which comprise the phone and the email. Then site navigation. Site navigation ni links zenye ukiklik inakupeleka kwa another type of part. For example, we shall implement it in such a way that if I click about me, it should take me to summary. If I click skills, take me to skills. Work experience, and so on and so forth. That's what we want to implement. Now let's do that. So when we can put these things this way, the two, this is what we call display. There are various ways in which we can display figures. The first way is using inline, which means they are placed in a line, either horizontally or vertically. The second way is displaying them flexible, so that they are flexible. So we always put them flexible in such a way that they can be arranged in line but horizontally. So that's what we want to implement with the 2 children here. Then the third way is block. For block, we just put them block on top of each other. So the most commonly used way is display flex. You will find in the W3 schools. So we want to implement display flex. So first of all, let's bring up the figures so that you can see them by putting a placeholder background color. So tutakuja hapa kwa here nitaweka style. Hizi tutatoa. Style is equals to background color, something like blue. So let's save this and see. So we can look at the height. Height 20 pixels. Width something like 35. So let's save this. I think that's correct. So this one has been done, so we can increase that to be like the parent, so 200 instead of 20. So we're just putting a placeholder to ensure we work well. It's not something very needy, because we will remove all these background colors once we are certain that we've controlled the height. To put these colors and heights basically help us to control the heights of our of the structure of our website. So we can do the same thing for site navigation, but change the site navigation to 65%, kwa sababu ile ishachukua 65 and it has to be 100, ichukue 65, and maybe the background color to be red, maybe. So let's see. Now you can see that this one has been taken below the blue one, but we need it to be at the side, like in the same line. So what we do, yes, we control that using display. So we come back here, kwa sababu ya itavutika. Remember, when we want to control display, we are telling the header how things should be displayed inside it, not display on the various sections. So it is the header that's going to carry. Ni kama kuambia mzazi how to control its children, exactly the same way. So yeah, we're just going to say display flex. So let's see. Yep, and that one has been picked very well now. Then sometimes you will find things clustered. Let's say we said this one was something like 45. So ibaki distance ingine. So kuna distance itabaki hapa. But what if we needed this space that is remaining to the right ikwe katikati? So what we do, we push the red one to the left, to the right, then the space be between them. That one is controlled by what we call justify content. So we always come here and say justify content, space between. Yep, and now that is it. So maybe I just need this distance for learning purposes, but I need to reduce it. So he should be something to do with 35 pixels. What about 55%? Yeah, that's okay. Okay, but for the width, it should remain. Things that we will remove at the background color. So what we do, we can carry the width property to the styles.css. So with the site navigation ikwe hapa, and with ingine ikwe 35%. So that's okay. So what we need to do, we can remove this now. Let's now implement the name, the email address and everything. The email and even the phone number.
I think I'm noticing something. I don't know whether I'm correct. So the style.css basically handles the graphical bit, and now the
Inline.
page we are on the HTML page handles the what the specifics said, the writings and whatnot.
Okay, I have actually gotten what you want to ask even before you asked it. No. The inline
Okay.
handles two types of stylings. Number one, what we call the placeholders. Placeholders ni zile zenye unaweka tu utatoa baadaye kama you feel like vitu zishakuwa sawa. Tumeelewana hadi hapo?
Okay.
For example,
Okay.
these ones are not permanent. Hizi
Yeah,
tutatoa
tumeelewa,
once yes. Then another thing, it also handles something that you feel like will be
Oh,
permanent.
okay.
For example, it can handle both the placeholder and the
Oh,
permanent.
okay.
Yes, but should be shorter. You should not crowd
Okay.
HTML file with CSS stylings. If you feel like CSS stylings zako zitakuwa mingi, bring them here. Bring them in the side of CSS.
Yeah.
But huku, this one always help us to handle those things that you feel like
Oh,
will be placeholders or ni shorter and will be permanent. You don't need to change them over and over again at any time. Yes. So you will see how I'll come back and remove this once I'm satisfied.
Okay. So
Yes, pardon?
oh, okay. So it's safe to say that for the CSS styling, whatever we're having at the inline styling of the HTML file, we can replicate all that in the CSS styling file, right?
I didn't get that.
So, for instance, the style. So there's a placeholder for style background color gray, right?
Yes.
So because that's the style, it means it's possible to remove this from the HTML file and do it now on the CSS file.
Yes, it is possible. Yeah, that's very much possible.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Nimefanya nini? Nimeona kitu imedisappear kwa slide.
Okay, I'm just trying to get that distinction of
hii kalabuli imeenda.
Oh, well, justify. It's a comment delete? No, okay, it's still there.
Kalabulu ni kama nime basic info with what have I done? Let me see.
Oh yeah, delete. Oh, okay, wait.
So the next thing is now let's add another division, and this one is going to cater for number class. So name is let's say Joseph Ouma. My title is data scientist. My email address is 211@gmail.com, and my phone number is 29. Okay, so when I come to my website, items have been assigned that way, but I guess you can realize that some things have been pushed to the left because of what we did there, the negative. So tutarudi kutengeneza mambo hapo, but for now let's work with what we have. Now there is something.
Okay.
Let me say that the height here, the height was not 200 pixels per se, but 100 pixels. So when I save this, sio kwa hiyo, kwa header, header was 100. When I save this, there will be some discrepancy, especially if I remove this. I have to make you see that. So let me remove this background color.
There's something else I'm noticing. The text for class name, J has been pushed to where 0 is start because we tell with the negative.
Yes, that's also another thing.
Okay.
We are going to control them. Ata O no iko juu. So we are going to control all of them. So this thing that I need to show you must come out the way you want it. So it won't 50 maybe. Nice. This one. So as you can see, my title, my email address, and my phone number are part of the header. Lakini header has only taken name peke yake. So what do you realize? What do we do in this case? This one tells us that using height is not recommended for anything to do with styling sections of our website. So in that case, we use what is called padding. We always use what is called padding. Padding is the opposite of margin now. We said margin ni distance around, sindio? But padding is distance inside now. India, what we call padding. These are the padding distances. In primary, we had this page. Alafu unasijui nambewa 1 centimeter. Unakumbuka hii maths?
Find the shaded area.
Find the shaded area. So hii shaded area actually ndiyo padding. Hii yote. This is the padding.
Okay.
So that distance mostly likuanga unapata wamesema 2 centimeter. So your distance is what we call padding. So it is padding in reference to diagram A. Get this one right. But it is margin in reference to diagram B.
Okay.
Yes. So lazima kama ni padding lazima ikuwe ya diagram A ndani yake. But kama ni any diagram B. Sasa padding ya hii diagram iko hapa ndani. So that's what we want to control. So when we say padding 2 centimeter, it means that around the figure we should leave allowance of 2 centimeter from this end, from this end, from this end, from this end. But again, there is something just like margin ilikuwa inaanza margin top ikikuja clockwise direction, the same scenario also applies to padding. So padding can also start from padding top going to clockwise direction. So if you say padding and supply 4 figures, it will be taken as padding top, padding right, padding nini. So yani vile tu tuliweka margin hapa. Naona hii. So we can just take this, copy, and kwa sababu we want to do it on web header, paste it here and change margin to padding, but now not to negative, it should be positive.
Okay.
So when I go to my website, you see they have now been pushed to, as some allowance have been left there. That was up imeachika sasa. Tuko moja hadi hapo.
Yes.
So again, what we can now do, we can now remove the height from the web header. Once we use padding, it's not recommended to use height now because padding will adjust automatically, by the way.
Okay.
So see, padding has adjusted automatically. So that's how it works. Padding will adjust automatically, and that one will be arranged very well, as you can see. I need to do some things. I need to change the size of texts, and also I need to ensure this has been embedded below, but hizi mbili zimeachika ziko peke yao somehow lower. Basically how you can structure your resume. That's what we are trying to do here.
Okay.
So in this case, I will go to my styles. Okay. First of all, I can see for me I had a predefined nini, like the name font size had been increased to 40, and that's why it is this way, somehow bigger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember the name has been targeted from the name div here, this one. So we can also give it a placeholder, which we shall delete. So style, background color, white maybe. So wamepeana white hapo. Okay, so again for data scientists the same thing. Background color maybe yellow. Email the same thing, another background color altogether. This is tutatoa.
Okay.
And lastly font background color green. So tunaikanga hivi background color at least tusaidie kuona what we need to control. So
okay.
if we need to control the distance between data scientists and my email, we will do something to do with the margin top of either email or margin bottom of either data scientist. I think for now you understand that. Again,
yes.
If we need to increase the font size of data scientists, we can do that. So font size of data scientists, we can come here. This is somehow smaller, so let's make it 30. And let's see if that one stand out. Okay. Wait. Title, not job title. Control C. So yep. So that's hiyo imekuwa kubwa sana. Okay, I think 25 will just be okay. So margin bottom of that data scientist, that is title, so we can give an allowance, something like 5 pixels. Let's see that. That's too small. What about 10 or 15? Nice. So another thing we can do is increase the font size for email. Email to email. And also copy the same thing and do it for phone number. Yeah, that's somehow okay now. I think that's not bad.
Okay.
So we can remove the background colors once you're done. So you can say email address and phone number. Okay, so yeah, I think we can remove the nini now. We can increase the width of this to somehow. Oh, this one has automatically taken the earlier width and it will define of this one. So tukirudisha ile background color blue here.
I have a question.
Yes.
When you wrote email address, then you spaced. I see on the website it went down below the email address. Then Joseph Homa went below.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to control. So it is so because
Okay.
Children wamechukua with wacha
Yeah.
niweke ile background color ya blue one. Children
Okay.
wamechukua characteristics ya parent by default. So
Okay.
parent ilikuanga background color blue.
Blue, yeah.
So when you unaona mali blue imeishia. So children wamechukua hiyo distance by default. So email address was trying to push this if it hapa my email address if it hapa ikashindikana.
Yeah.
So for it
Okay.
to we must adjust with accordingly. And by the way, that's where now
Okay.
padding help us with. So we can add
Okay.
padding right instead of using width. So we can add padding right. You give some allowance, but let's just use width, or even padding right will still do. So nitatoa width kwa sababu this one will be, so when nikitoa width itafit hivyo. Naona imefit sasa. Sasa it will fit
Okay.
the longest child name. But I can also use padding, which will be adjusted automatically. But now itakuwa kwa basic info. Na padding right. You basically give it something, the allowance yenye itakuwa tu sawa. 75 pixels. So it means even if we need to write something, it will adjust to that padding until we get the desired result. For let's test that. Let's see if that one is gonna work. So hapo kwa email address, I just want to add ma.coms mingi. Save. So naona padding imefanya ina fit by force.
Next one, yeah.
Hiyo ndio uzuri wa padding, as opposed to to height or width.
To width.
Yes. All right. So now that we are certain that nisha unda maneno vizuri, I can bold this name. Na pia you can add any color. For example, text color. So let's remove the backgrounds kwanza ndio to bold, tuone which color to add there. Hizi stylos sasa azitusaidii, hizi zilikuwa tu placeholder kutusi. So you've seen the essence of adding background colors.
Yes.
At least it helps you perform the styling. Hata ya blue kwanza ni mbaya zaidi. Sasa height pia tunafaa kutoa kwa sababu tulishaweka padding.
Yeah.
So that's okay. So hiyo ya gray pia hainibambi kabisa. Na niliona huku pia. Yeah. So utaweka color yako yenye you feel like it's okay, that will align to you with your fine touch. But remember, your website will also be visited by those guys who are colorblind. So the only two colors which are allowed is mostly the black, dark theme, that is, and the light theme. So even if you add your color, make sure it is not a con color. Like you see this red, kuna mtu wako colorblind, red itamsumbua sana. So that's why we tend to use colors. So for example, I might just try to put a background color, the permanent one, gray, then control it using RGB. This is what we call RGB. Click on this circle, then add some light kidogo, save, visit. Okay, that's a bit like it's basically what you have touched. What favorite color you would wish to use. Yep. So that's it. We are done with the basic info, unless there are things we will need to change later, but for now acha ibaki hivyo. So maybe you just need your name to be bolder. That's what you can add. So under name, we always use what is called font weight. utaipata hapo kwa W3 schools.
Oh, okay.
So font weight, you can use bold or bolder, and this one will bold it. Sasa ita bold hapo vizuri. Data scientist,
Okay.
itakuwa bold. Data scientist title pia, font weight bold.
Okay.
Sasa
Mm-hmm.
maneno pia, you can change color of text if you wish to. For example, everything in basic info should have a color of green. Na staki hiyo green, nataka ile green ya forest green.
Okay.
Something like that. Wait, I didn't. Mbona pick? It should pick. Anything that is written inside basic info should be green. Why is it not picking? Or wanataka tutumie kwa each and every, let me see name. Oh, they want us to put them in each and every div. But this is just for learning purposes. Anyway.
Okay. Okay.
And therefore, tukimalizana na hiyo, so we can, I think hiyo background inafanya hiyo green na shout sana, so to control background irudishe daraka kiasi tu, tuone hiyo. Wait. Better. But it's always about you and vile utataka kunini. Aya. Sasa hiyo tutakuwa tumemaliza hivyo. Next, before we implement this, let us implement the sites that will be the sections that will be in our website. Nimesema hii kitu tunaiunda exactly the same way huwa tunaunda resume or our CV.
Resume.
Yes. So sections zingine zitapangwa hapa. Sometimes you may need to add a horizontal line after each section. You just come to your index.html, then after header you just type HR, and when you come here utakuwa na line yenye itakuwa inatenganisha juu na chini.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and again when we want this line to be bolder or thicker, we can target it kwa CSS directly. So itakuwa, and after header tutaitarget HR. So there's something called border width. Border width is actually the length of the border, so 3 pixels. Let's see. Makes it somehow bolder. So the same thing with the border weight. Border color black. Border style pia itakuwa this style will allow you to, if you want to use dashed, dotted, double, groove, hidden, inherit, something like that. So for example, if we say dotted, your border itaturn ikwe dotted hivyo. So,
okay,
like ina depend to now what you need to do. Your distance between the border, and your header should be controlled. So it means we should use margin bottom ya header. So tutaenda kwa header, margin bottom, mali tuliweka 0, tutachange ikwe -20 pixels. Let's see that. sasa imechange, that's too big. What about 10? Yeah. Hii border to the left and to the right kuna maneno imefanyika, kuna space inabaki, hatutaki hiyo space. So hiyo pia tunaweza control kwa border. Tunaitumia margin. Aya, top ni 0 because iko sawa. Right -10 pixels. Bottom I don't know, tutaona, but for now 0. And but we use a space, not a comma. And uko -10 pixels. Yeah, this is okay now, but kuna kitu imefanyika tena. Top right, bottom 8 pixels tuone. Yeah, I think it's now okay. Sasa hiyo utafanya tu like you just use what you need. So border style, I don't need this. At a doubled, let's see. Utaangalia tu kitu utafanya.
Okay.
Then let's now style the site navigational bar. Let's now style this, the one with the red. But before that, let's implement all these other sections: summary, skills, work experience, and education.
Okay.
So tutakuja tu hapa, dot summary, dot skills, dot work experience, then dot education. So header ilikuwa tulishapeana padding. So let's use height for the time being before we write anything. Ama tunaweza kuja tu kwa index.html tuseme all about a brief intro about my or about myself. Skills, what skills I possess. I don't know if that's the working. The work experience I have. Hizi ni placeholder tutatoa. Then the education.
Okay.
The schools. So far attended. Such as social media sites.
Okay.
Okay. So when we come to our website, we should see them. But now we want to put them each and every one into their own nini. Sasa tutaweka padding. Let's tumia hii padding. .60 pixels. That means that the distance around any text written should be 60 pixels. Let's see that. And therefore zimekuwa arranged vizuri sasa. Hadi footer, we didn't call footer. So class web footer. Sasa iko sawa. Aya, sasa tupeane background colors kibao ili at least zitusaidie. Hizi zitatolewa tu.
So automatically on your website once imefika pale chini you're able to start scrolling.
Yes. I love that question.
Okay.
Actually, that's the work of padding. Ingekuwa height inge restrict.
Oh.
But padding it
Okay.
adjust. Yes.
Okay.
You are so keen, bana. That's good.
Okay.
Okay. Kila kitu haiwezi kuwa red. Reds mbili zimeshikana mahali. I don't like that. It's okay. Aya. Sasa now that you've known the site, hizi zingine assignment yako itakuwa make sure umetoa hii vizuri. Hizi ma edges.
Okay.
Yeah. So we need to arrange things here very nicely. Hizi ma sections. A brief summary about myself, skills, work experience, and the schools I've so far attended. So we will arrange them as divs. The divs, they will be children divs of our site navigation div. Naelewa? So,
okay,
tutakuja hapa katikati ya site navigation div. How many nini are they? We should come back and see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we should make 5 divs. So div that, then copy paste them to be 5. So div ya kwanza itakuwa about myself ama about me. Hiyo kitu hivi nichanganya kila siku. Inakuwa about me, about myself. Then skills.
About me.
Kitu nichanganya kila siku. Work experience. Find me on socials. Ingine ni ya nini? Schools, education. I remember hizo ni watoto wa site navigation. So let's see how. So they are here. Pop. But I don't want them to be arranged this way. Nataka ziarrangiwe zikienda in a line. So we will need
Okay.
to display Aya, sasa vile zimekuwa arranged for now, it is called column. They have been arranged in a column. So I need to be arranged in a one row. So right now zimekuwa arranged in one column going down. But I need them to be arranged in one row. So we use display on site navigation div. So we go to the styles, then spot where site navigation div is, and display flex. Save. Flex itaziflex vizuri. Unaona sasa ishafanyika hadi. Itaflex.
Okay.
Then justify content space between. Let's put a space between them. Exactly vile tulifanya kwa web header. Wacha tuone hiyo maneno vile imepangwa. All right, it's okay. But again, I just need them to be in the middle of each and every nini. So what I'll do, I'll say align text center. Text that was equals per center. I don't know if this one will work. Align items center. All the items to be put in the center stage. There. Okay, so another thing, I think the nini is so small, but we'll just take care of. What do we need to do again? When someone hovers cursor, right now nikihover cursor inakuwa hii to line stack inataka ikue pointer. So when I hover cursor ikue pointer. So that one tutaeka kwa okay. I think nitafunza hiyo kitu baadaye. But for now, let's increase the font size of each and every item. Equal somehow bigger, 25 pixels to maximum. Let me receive a call here, probably from my boss. Yes, hello. Nice. Dini mabar baba. Ano kabilo ngani? Unge nani class? Tomoza sling aluf mara. What was it? Hmm? 86.
Uko ni nangu?
Utacha tubere.
Uko ni nangu?
Oko duoka. Donga mia custom.
Obio mo chopo. Kwani bidwaro gadwara?
Okay, so we can continue.
Okay.
You're saying that font size 25 pixels. So let's see how this one is. 25 pixels imekuwa kubwa sana according to me. 20. That's okay. That's okay. Iko sawa kabisa. Now the next thing we need now to remove the red background color. Ishatusaidia.
Okay.
And the height too. So save. Sasa hii iko sawa. Aya. Then we need to apply padding. At least you take care of the bottom line. Hiyo padding iko sawa. But hiyo padding tukiweka kwa mtu wa juu sioni kama iko na shida. Huyu jamaa wa juu mbona padding 20 pixels, padding bottom.
Uko na 0.
Oh. Ndio maana. So kama ni 20 zote, you just put padding 20 moja iko sawa. Itakupeleka kwa zote.
Oh, okay.
Yes. lakini sasa shida unaona huku itakuwa imepelekwa, so we need to adjust
Oh,
that.
padding left. Okay.
So we just need to padding top, let me see top, top not bad, padding top 20 pixels, padding right, what about right, iko sawa hivyo 20 pixels.
I think the padding is also taking it from the margin.
Yes, inaanza, remember nimesema padding ni distance ya ndani, so it is from
Yeah, yeah.
it is from but
Yeah. Oh, padding. Okay.
but
To the
ndani.
text. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, this is now okay.
Oh, so essentially what we are seeing now, it's because umeandika 30 pixels, so the distance between the J and what we can see is now the 10 pixels hapo katikati. Yeah, hapo. That's the 10. Yeah, now it's like,
it is 10 kwa sababu tuliekanga na some negative 20
oh, the negative. Yeah, okay. Yeah, nakumbuka.
Sasa ilianza from border. Unaelewa hii.
Yeah.
I'm proud. Yeah, that's
nimeelewa.
So next thing we will need to, there is also a CSS property, I don't know how it's called, utangalia kwa W3 schools, where if I hover cursor on this, okay, I hover cursor on this, inakuwa mkono ina point na pia text inakuwa underline.
Oh,
that way,
okay.
we only do,
okay,
it's a conditional styling. It's a conditional styling format which is done on condition, such that you only hover cursor is when something happens. So for what to give a conditional one, we just copy paste, select it that way, but we put a colon between and type words like hover. There are so many words there after backdrop nini, ni vitu mingi sana, so you will just get to know them pole pole.
Okay.
Some of them hata mimi sijaitumia. So hover. So this one is only, this is on condition that after only hovering a cursor on a letter is when you get cursor pointer. Cursor pointer. Oh, sasa angalia kitu nimefanya. Nimetumia parentheses. I could have seen my grandmother's cursor pointer. Then kuna another one called text decoration. So let's test the pointer first. There's another one called text decoration, which there's a cursor pointer.
Okay.
Pointer. But something I've done which is wrong, nikipeleka cursor kwa site navigation inakuwa pointer. I don't want this. This is wrong. I only want it on the text alone.
The text. Okay.
So nikitoa hata hapo isikue pointer, but on the text alone. So what we need to do, we need to put this text into something like h tags. Okay, so for example, h, sijui ni h gani iko sawa, but let me use h3. Nione kwanza kama itaharibu kila kitu. H3 inakaa bolder sana, turudishe H4. Okay. So we want to regulate it such that when we hover cursor on some any h4 inside a site navigation tag, so we can Google that. Let me try first of all to implement. Let me see if it's going to work in my own way.
Okay.
Site navigation, but only h4 alone when we hover. I don't know if it's going to work. Let's see. Yeah, it's now working. Good. Unaona hata katikati haifanyi,
Okay.
but good.
Yeah.
So what I'm telling this is that when we implement on site navigation, you leave a space, any h4 inside site navigation when we hover cursor. That another thing you can say.
Oh, okay.
Text decoration. Underline. So when we hover cursor, the text decoration should be underlined. Notice pap, pap. That's okay.
Oh, okay.
Then color should be green. And it's forest green ya hii yenye tulishaweka huku juu.
Okay.
It's working. So na tumemaliza kudesign header hivyo.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can give it a color by the way, such that tukihover cut. This one was mini, so let's just put a color to be here. On h4s alone, without hover, color to be that color. Sorry, to be this color here. What did I do here? So the color is now that, but when we hover it should change to a color of each and every section. But kama hii ni gold, nikihover on it should change to gold. So nitakuja hapa ni copy paste to hii color. Ama nataka niweke gold yote kwa sababu yote itanipea kazi ngumu ya kufanya kila moja. So let's implement that. When I hover inakuwa golden.
Oh, okay.
So basically we are done with that. You can use your own background. You know, na your background si poa. Inaifanya ikuwe somehow.
Okay.
Turudishe ikuwe daka. Kwani ndio naharibu. But nitaacha tu hivyo. Aya.
Okay.
Sasa assignment yako. Because I want to introduce JavaScript, which tutamalizia next week ndio tuendelee na course outline yetu sasa. Your assignment, please go underline this thing the way you would want your resume to look like. Hii stuff.
Okay.
So hii brief introduction hapa utaweka picha yako na hapa uweke watu information, skills you possess, outline skills in bullet forms. Ukienda Google from W3 schools utaona how to do that using list. The work experience I have, the schools you so far attended, and social media sites, how to embed social media sites, you know. Then pia I need you to just to be creative. Ukisoma, I always find it with my students, wakijisomea huwa wana tend to kushika sana. So
it's true.
Yeah, so I just wanted to do header. That's what I've been doing with people, because I realized if I give you header, at least I now give you a blueprint of working with CSS and HTML, so you can design others.
Okay.
Yeah, so hivyo tu sasa.
Okay, sawa.
Now let's introduce JavaScript. Now, what we've so far implemented is something called static website. A static website is a website which is stagnant or cannot respond. I'm looking for something. Okay, a static website is a website which cannot respond to. It cannot respond. You can only view it, but you cannot interact with it. For example, even if I click this, it cannot. I cannot interact with it. It is not telling me anything. It cannot respond. That is what is called a static website. A static website is designed and implemented by HTML and CSS plus their frameworks. Now, if we need to use something that is to add interactivity, so that even if I click something, it leads me to another page, it does anything, then we now change it from static website to dynamic website. A dynamic website is a website that can now respond to user interactivity events. For example, user clicking, user submitting, user doing anything. That is what a static website, a dynamic website is. So JavaScript is a programming language that is used to interact with the whatever we just implemented using static website. So HTML and CSS will implement something, then JavaScript will come in and manipulate or interact with that something that has been implemented. So in short, JavaScript adds interactivity to our website. Are we together?
Okay.
JavaScript is always embedded in most of these web browsers. To embed in most of these web browsers actually means it is run on a web browser, so it cannot be accessed as a programming language on its own. So it is always embedded in a web browser because it is going to affect the web pages. By web pages, I mean the DOM tree. You see, these things we've been implementing here are called DOM tree. How we've been making body, header ni child wa body, div ni child wa header, divs ni child wa div, evo. That's what we call the DOM tree. So JavaScript is always, now the website is going to generate this DOM tree using HTML. Then JavaScript will come and act on this DOM tree using what we call APIs, the application programming interface that I introduced the other day. So JavaScript is now accessed through a web browser. When you just come to any tab, right click and inspect. Then console. When you click on console, then this is where JavaScript is stored. So this is where you can write JavaScript code.
Please do that again, sorry.
So you just go anywhere on a web browser, anywhere, right click, then inspect. Then the console is where you can write JavaScript codes. I hope you got that before we continue. Are you together?
Oh, sorry, I muted. I'm saying I've just done that to a website I'm looking at. Yeah, I've gone to the console.
All right. So JavaScript access. So, but that doesn't mean we cannot access JavaScript from our IDE which we've been using. Yes, we can. We can by just starting a new file, scripts. So we can create a new folder and name this folder a folder of scripts. Then inside the folder of the script, start a new file, script.js. But even if we write JavaScript codes here, they will still act on the web browser on a web page in the web browser. So JavaScript's core mandate is to manipulate the DOM tree of a web browser. Now, before we need to to print an item in JavaScript, we always say console.log. That is the keyword that we use. Let's say hello world. I'm just getting started with JavaScript.
Okay.
Or any other text that you missing something, console.log. Nimetumia nini mbaya?
Bracket, yeah.
Console, not confirm. Say sasa ni nini? Sasa huwezi copy paste console.log.
Okay.
Thank God we are not going to write codes here.
Okay.
So it will print hello world as we've instructed it. So even if we come to this and print something, console.log, now to see this, we also need to link the JavaScript file with our HTML file. So because we said it acts on the web browser, and the only way we can access the web browser is through the HTML file. So tunakujanga hapa chini kwa body.
Okay.
Then we write script. Then inside here we embed the scripts that we need that we want to be shown. So tunawekanga hapa source equal scripts, then script.js. So tutakuwa connect that way. So when we open our website here, you must open in the same website, then right click, then inspect, then you go to console, then you will see the word printed there. Sasa angalia mali tumeandika code na mali tunapata result. Anyway,
okay.
I'm just trying to explain to you that even if you write codes anywhere, you must just go and access it through the web browser. You have no otherwise, because that's how JavaScript behaves.
Okay.
Sorry. So JavaScript has been embedded inside most web browsers. Hata nini bado iko nayo. Naitaje hii? Microsoft Edge. So right click, inspect, then console. Sasa hii nayo imearrangiwaje? Iko wapi console somewhere? I don't know. Console. So you can also print it here. Console.log. It will do the same thing. Even in this web browser, it will still do the same thing. Inspect, and again console. Here you write it here, console.log. That is to say, most web browsers work with JavaScript, and that's it. In this reading, I'll encourage you to use Google Chrome, because it has a very powerful engine to ensure that JavaScript works without issues, and it updates
Okay.
JavaScript. Hata ikiupdateiwa saa 6 usiku, by saa 6 na dakika moja Google Chrome isha update JavaScript. That's the importance of working with Google. Now,
Okay.
JavaScript is not just like any other programming language. From the word script, it is used for scripting purposes. A script is that line of code, is that programming language which runs lines of codes as they are written, like per line. So you've seen what JavaScript has done to us in this our case here.
Yes.
When we come here, JavaScript will run a line of code as it is written. So the same thing will happen when I write another code altogether and say console.log so if I save this and go to JavaScript, hiyo code itakuwa hiyo line itakuwa imeandikwa hapo. So that's what we mean by scripting. Python is also a scripting language we are going to use in this reading. But other languages, what they do, they allow you to write a bunch of codes and run them at once, called compiler. So with JavaScript and Python, they script, and therefore they're used for mostly good for debugging purposes. You know where the problem is. Lakini ile utaanza kuangalia code juu mpaka chini, my friend. Okay, so now that we've known what JavaScript is, let's talk about fundamental programming languages programming terms that we are going to find. The number one is what is called JavaScript primitives. JavaScript primitives. These are basically a term used to describe the data types that we are going to work with in JavaScript. Data is any piece of information, and this piece of information can exist in any form. This piece of information can exist as a number. So these are the primitives. This piece of information can exist as a number, and if it's a number, it can be 0 integer, that is. It can be 3.142, that is a float, something called float, and so on. So this one is integer and this one is a float. So that is the first type of JavaScript primitive. The second type of JavaScript primitive is what we call the strings. Strings are words enclosed in quotes. For example, what we just typed as hello world, this is a string. The third type of JavaScript primitive is what is called a boolean. A boolean is a statement that confirms the true or false meaning. So there are two types of boolean: true and false. This is basically important when we want to regulate some things. For example, to tandika variable, we are going to talk about what a variable is. Tandika variable, then we are going to set it to true, so we can control it the way we want. Later we can change it to false based on a condition. Then there was another one called null. Null basically is null, that is nothing at all. So we can have nothing at all. We also have undefined. Undefined basically means it does not exist. So in our website, when you try to do something, and it gives you undefined, it basically means that that thing does not exist. These are the 5 types of JavaScript primitives that we are going to work with. Now, of these 5 types, the most common 3 types are these ones: number, strings, and boolean. We are also going to find other data types like date written in form of YYY, DD. Time written in form of HH, minute, second. And also the timestamp. Timestamp is date plus time. Timestamp written in form of YYYY, DD, space, HH, MMSS with the semicolon between them. Colon, I mean. So these are also some data types we're going to work with. The date, the time, and also the timestamp. Any programming language has its own primitive. JavaScript iko na easy, Python pia tutaona pia iko na zake tu, lakini huwa ziachani sana. That is it. So anything that is not of this type is called an object. So anything that is not of a number, is not a string, and is not a boolean, is not null, and at the same time it exists, but it is not the other four, it is called an object. Sasa inamaanisha hata hii date ni what we call a date object.
Okay.
So that's how JavaScript behaves. So we have what is called the wrapper object in JavaScript. In the wrapper objects mostly begin with a capital letter. You are going to find so many items here beginning with a capital letter. So anytime you see something beginning with a capital letter, that is a wrapper object.
Okay.
For example, when a wrapper object is always identified in JavaScript, we have a pre-built word called new. Ukiona tu kitu imeandikwa new, for example, date ya saa hii tukiandika new date. When we talk about new date saa hii, this new date is what we call a wrapper object. And of course you can see it starting with capital letter. Wrapper object. This one will print the current date. This one will print the current date. The word new is always used to identify this as a wrapper object. For example, if we can say, yes, we know ABCD is a string. But if we can add the term new, then string with capital S, alafu tuandike the word ABC, it doesn't become a string anymore. It is called an object or a wrapper object. Is that one picked?
Yes, I got it.
Yeah. The next thing, there is something called variable in JavaScript.
Okay.
Variables are all those elements. Unaona kama HTML tunazita tags. Kwa CSS tumezita selectors. So those are elements of a programming language. In JavaScript they are called variables. These variables, mostly you are the one who is going to initiate them. There are three types of variables in JavaScript. We have the constant variable, we have the let variable, and we have the var variable. The constant variable, from the word constant, this one is constant and will not be changed. For example, we can say constant pi is equals to 3.142. It means that pi is constant and will not be changed whatsoever. Are we together?
Yeah.
But when we say let something like room, let room is equals to room D649, it means that this room can be changed at any time. When we say the variable room, it works more or less the same as let, except that this one, the terms zinaanza kuwa ngumu sasa. Hakuna kukimbia. When we say room D649, it basically means this one is used in what is called a function. I'm going to talk about a function in a few minutes.
Okay.
While this one can be used both in a function or globally. Let us talk about a function. A function is a collection of codes that performs a specific action. For example, you can define a function to calculate you can define a function to calculate the area of a triangle.
Okay. Yeah.
Then it means when we define a function to calculate the area of a triangle, inside this function we can create variables such as the length of this triangle or the height of this triangle. the base length or the height of this triangle, we can use let, or we can even use var. But var is used also global. That is, if you initiate var at the top, you can use it anywhere in your code base and in your code from line 1 to line 1 million. By the way, in a setup, development setup, we always write millions of lines of codes.
Okay.
So you can write from line 1 to, if you initiate var room, you can do it. But let, mostly, sijasema you cannot use it globally, but mostly it is always restricted to functions.
Okay.
Now, I think nishaeleza hata function, so we should just continue. That was so nini. We can also have what are called data structures, and by the way, I need you to, one day if you want to be a very, very good developer, there are things called data structures and algorithms. Kama kuna kitu nilifia in college ni hii. If I can give you my transcripts, this is what the one of the subjects yenye nilianguka. Kitu ni ngumu.
Okay.
So this thing is it's called data structures and algorithm. Well, the term data structure is okay. It basically means how the data has been structured, and one of them is the function that we've talked about. That's the data structure. But now the problem comes here in algorithms. Algorithm is a way to write your code. So I'm not going to get deeper into this, but basically you can go to YouTube and watch the tutorials, because if I teach this, I'll end up teaching what I got in the exams. So sitaki tufike huko.
Okay.
So data structures are how codes are being structured in your code base. A good example is using an array. An array is a data structure, and by the way, it's also an object, an array object.
Okay.
An array object is a data structure that can be used to store a collection of items. So these are specialized collection objects that aid the programming in the storage and retrieval of data by indexed keys. So we always store them inside curly braces. So we can store items like mango, we can store apple, and so forth. So like we can say, let fruit b is equals to new array, then you supply the list of items. Kuna kitu nimeshinda nikitumia na sijaeleza. The is equal sign. The is equal sign is used to declare a variable. Or a data structure. So let me just say a variable, because even the data structure itself is still a variable based on how you store it. So the data structure array will now be stored in a variable called fruits.
Fruits.
Yes. So to the left of our is equal sign is what you define as the developer. To the right is what you should write and should follow the syntax, bringing us to another term. The syntax in a programming language is the predefined rule. Do you remember the rules and instructions we talked about while introducing coding?
Yes.
Yes. So that is what the syntax is. What syntax is. So the syntax in a programming language is the predefined rule. So to the right, you must always write those rules. To the right, you must always follow rules, write codes. But to the left, mostly ni user defined.
Okay.
Yeah. Now we can also go ahead and talk about what are called operators in JavaScript. Number one, ni comparison operators. Comparison operators are used to compare the left side and the right side of your code. So we can use double equal sign or triple equal sign to see if it is equal to. Aya, sasa ingine ni iko hapa. This one is somehow equivalent. lakini hii ni equal.
Okay.
But they can be used
Okay.
interchangeably. Lakini if you want to force equal, like I want it to be, it must be equal, then we use triple equal sign. So
Triple. Okay.
you will find yourself using them interchangeably. It doesn't matter. But when I want to force something to be equal to, then I use triple equal. So this one basically compares that what is in the right and what is in the left of your codes must be equal to each other. So for example, when I say let number is equals to 6, then let number ya pili is equal to 6, then I can say if number is equals to number 1. Naona? That one we can be used in that way. Like in triple equal sign, we can say do something, how can I write this code? We just want, for example, we can do something if the numbers are equal. Okay, I'll just figure it out. But we can still use if also. If number is triple equal to number 1, also do something. So they are used interchangeably. That is the equal sign under comparison operator. The second one, of which you know, is the less than. Do I need to explain that? The third
no,
one
it's okay.
is the greater than. The fourth one is the less than or equal to. The fifth one is the greater than or equal to. Then the sixth one is not equals to. This one is the one that I should now explain.
Okay.
Now, not equals to basically confirms that two items are not equal to. We are used to writing it in mathematics kwa karatasi hivi. But in coding, you write exclamation mark, then equals to.
Equals to, okay.
6 is not equal to 7, and this one will return a boolean true.
True.
Boolean yenye tuliona
Okay.
huko. That is comparison operators. Arithmetic operators ya hesabu. The second type of operators is the arithmetic operators. So kuna ingine sifai kueleza sana. Plus adds 2 plus 3 is equals to 5. 3 minus 2 is equals to 1. 3 asterisk 2. We use asterisk is equals to 6. Then 3 slash 2 is equals to 1.5. These are arithmetic operators.
Okay.
Mahali sasa shida inatokelezea ni hapa. 3, if we call it modulo 2. 3 percentage 2, read as 3 modulo 2 is equals to 1. Here, we look at the remainder. 3 divided by 2, 2 goes into 3 ones. 1 times 2, 2. Nimekurudisha primary. 3 ones, 1 times 2, 2. Then, remainder 1. Na tulikuwa tunaandika answer 1, remainder 1. So, we are interested in this remainder, and this is what is indicated there using modulo. So,
okay, got it.
3, kama umeandika double 2, this is 9. That is basically like 3 squared. We use
to the power of 2.
To the power of 2. So 3 to the power of 2, that is 9. 3 to the power of 3. So to the power you write 2 asterisks, and this is 27.
Oh, and then okay.
Yes. Aya, kuna swali yoyote kweli ama tunaweza endelea?
Just repeat pale where when you're using a capital letter. I think nimepotea kidogo hapo kwa capital letter. When you're saying, for instance, new data or something. Nyuma tu kidogo.
Okay. New is a predefined JavaScript word, meaning the inbuilt word which is used to declare objects. So,
okay.
We talked about wrapper objects. A wrapper object is also another type of data structure in JavaScript.
Okay.
So, or data type. I don't want to call it a data type, but think of it as a data type.
Okay.
So, for example, one of them is date. When we want to write date in our program, we always use the term new. Then date follows with a capital D. Then you write date in form of kama leo ni siku gani? November 22nd. So 2024
2024
na
11
unaanzanga hivi
2022.
YYY November
Okay.
22nd. So
Okay.
this one will be stored as a date wrapper object. Sawa.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay,
again,
got it. Yeah.
we may also want to store a list of items. So you use a nini fruits. Fruits is equals to new, then array. Then it's
Okay.
stored fruits as a list form.
Okay.
Atuguzi kitu nataka tu tumalize hii theory, naona sio mingi sana.
Okay, so
Another thing are called what we call the statements, compound control statements. Compound control statements are used to control how programs behave in a code base. But the code base ni to a file used with the codes. Kama hii sasa itakuwa code base. Tukiendelea kuandika code itakuwa code base. So compound control statements are used to control how codes behave in a code base. And number one is using conditional statements.
Okay.
Your guess is as right as mine. Here, the conditional statements will actually be executed or be performed based on a condition. We always use the if-else statements, the if statement. So number one, if else, or if then else if then else. If checks if the condition is true, that is if it is a boolean. For example, we can say let letter is equals to letter A. Then when we say if letter is not equals to B, then we can print something, console.log, print something. Of course, it will come back here, look at A, compare it if it's good. So if this condition has been met, we print it. But if it has not been met, we use else. Are we together?
Okay. Yeah.
Then we can also use if else. This one follows a sequence of steps. Here we can check if the first condition is not met, we go to the second condition, the third, until the last. We will use them practically. Kuna vitu zingine kufunza theoretically ni ngumu. Sasa ngoje hiyo Monday. Then another one is called the switch statements. My friend, this one does what its name suggests. It switches from one thing to nini. For example, we can say we switch, let's say letter is equals to A. Then what tunasema, case 1, if the letter is B, print this is not the letter I want. If the letter is C, then we switch to the next case. Case 2, case C. If the letter is not A again, we switch. Even mpaka tupate letter A. So yes, you can use switch in place of if-else statement. Are we together?
Yeah.
But the only difference is that switch, once you find your answer, we use a keyword break. That is, we break a switch. Because to sharp pattern we needed. Now, if the condition has not been met, it's not a must that we must meet the condition, by the way. If the condition has not been met, then we always write the default thing that should happen. The default one, none of the letters has met our condition. So that one is the default nini. So we'll see how we write it. Another one is what we call the while loop. While confirm the truthfulness of a statement. For example, let pi is equals to 3.142. So while pi, then you can actually tell the user to you can actually 3.142, then you can tell the user let pi user is equals to prompt, then user enter pi yake, enter your pi as a number,
okay.
Then we always change it. So constant pi akisha enter tunaiweka inakuwa integer, pass int pi ya user. Sasa hii second pi 2 pi second pi, that is we can always change while pi equals to 2 pi double equal to 2 pi, then we do something. This one confirms the truthfulness. So ubaya wa hii kama ni true ita print mpaka the end of the world. So we always also use break to break the to break the while loop.
Okay.
We also have what is called the repeat with for loops. For loops is used to iterate on something. So for example, if we have an array of our fruits earlier, we had the array containing fruits. So we can say we use index. An index is basically how things have been arranged in our array. So 2, 0, 1, 9, 10. So this one is always treated as index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3, and index 4.
Okay.
Then we can say for loop for I in fruits, print fruits. So what it is going to do is going to iterate through this loop. Itakuja iangalie index 1 ipate ni 2 iprint hivyo mpaka imalize. Pia you can control ukifika something like 1 you can stop or you can break the for loop.
Okay.
I think we've learned a lot of things today, so we can just stop there, my friend.
Okay, sir.
Unless you have any question.
Can you just highlight the switch briefly?
Switch. A good example we can use is days. The day.
Okay.
I was born on a Tuesday, so I want to restrict switch statement to print my day of birth.
Yep.
So we can use switch for that case. So switch is used to control until you find the whatever you want. Switch. Then we can say expression console.log day of birth, console.log day of birth. So then we always start and say case 1 Sunday, case 1 case Sunday, then this is your day of birth. You can print a statement here, this is your day of birth. Then case 2 Monday, hivyo mpaka ufike Saturday.
Okay.
Then the default one which is very abnormal, you can print
Was
you
that
were
good?
born in none of the days. That's very abnormal anyway. You were born in none of the days. Kwani wewe walini kama hauna day between Saturday na nini? But that's how it behaves. Then we can write a statement hapa juu to control whatever is happening. You can tell the user to enter the day of birth hapa. Then it is being confirmed using the switch statement. Unaona?
Okay, yeah.
So this one is mostly used in development. So when you use a web, you may not know what the code implemented it, but this is how the codes are being implemented, by the way. So
makes sense.
Might enter the day of birth as Tuesday, then the switch statements is trying to go through the days. Alafu ikipata Tuesday ina match na day tulienter, then ina print. So the only thing we can print the only thing that we can print as default statement is when the user enters alikuwa nataka kuweka Tuesday akasahau e. So unaona hiyo spelling. You can tell him kindly check again the day you entered, it does not match any of the days in our program.
Okay. Yeah.
But we will work with it practically on Monday.
Okay, that makes sense now. Okay.
Yeah, any other question?
I don't think so. I just need to revisit what we've learned today, Also, kindly remember to share the recording so that I can be going through them as I try to practice on the website.
Sawa sawa.
Okay, thank you.
Have a great weekend and let's meet on Monday.
You too, you too.